Today's Locked On Thunder podcast. The Oklahoma City Thunder get a sweep of the Memphis Grizzlies in Game 4 from SGA, who has an MVP resurgence.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, media member, and beat writer for Thunder on SI, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod. Email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. On today's show, we're diving into the Oklahoma City Thunder getting a sweep of the Memphis Grizzlies. Second consecutive first-round sweep for OKC. The Thunder's third total sweep in franchise history, getting the Memphis Grizzlies in 4 games here in the FedEx Forum. SGA was fantastic. Chet Holmgren's defense shined through. Jalen Williams takes another leap, and so much more. Listen, they always say that the closeout games are the hardest to win in any playoff series, no matter the circumstance. And tonight, it was just that. It was a very competitive game. Memphis did not just roll over and hand it to Oklahoma City as the Thunder have to pull out a 117-115 win. But ultimately, it never really got to a concerning level for the Thunder. They are up 3 after the first quarter. They lead by 4 when SGA checks back in the second quarter. They're up by 1 at halftime. They start the fourth quarter up 3. When Shai comes back in, they're up 5. And then they grow an 11-point lead in that final quarter. Ultimately, that 11-point lead was not the dagger because Memphis, to Desmond Bane's credit, hit a 3 from Yucatan to be able to cut this lead down and give themselves a fighting shot at the end. And they actually got the look that they wanted, I think, for Memphis. Whenever you foul up 3 and they got the perfect miss, they just couldn't capitalize on it. Similarly to like the New Orleans series where they could have won one game if a ball just bounces their way. This time it didn't happen for Memphis, nor did it happen for New Orleans. But the Thunder end up, gutting out a game this way, and it's illustration of what we've seen all season long. Now, the Thunder have not played a ton of crunch time minutes. That's been a famous talking point this season, but they've also displayed an ability to win games in a variety of ways when they're shooting the ball exceptionally well, when they're shooting the ball poorly, when they have their fastball defensively, when they've had to turn it on at the end defensively to make up for lost time and really lean on their offense. They've been able to do everything to net 68 wins and now 4 playoff wins. And you saw that throughout this series. In Game 1, nobody in the world could have beaten the Thunder as they win by 50 points. In Game 2, the Thunder just have a ho-hum win where they just kind of distance themselves from a team that they're better than. And then in Game 3, they erase a 29-point lead. They make a comeback and get a win. And then tonight, they end up winning a tight game that was pretty tightly contested the entire way through. And I thought that Memphis, from a standpoint of just not giving in, this was a great feather in their cap for as good as it can be right now for the Memphis Grizzlies. 15 lead changes, 8 ties. OKC weathered it all. And the 2 big things for the Thunder, they just did not shoot the ball well from 3. They end up with 20% from beyond the arc. And I know that will put a little bit of a question mark, right? Because you're always on to the next thing. People rarely stop to smell the roses of what's this going to look like in round 2. Look, you can't shoot the ball 20% from 3 sustainably in the sense of expecting success, but this team also will not consistently shoot 20% from 3. They generated some really good 3-point shots. They got really good looks. They just didn't go in. It's similar to how we're talking about SGA. SGA did the exact same stuff in this game that he did the first 3, right? He wasn't trying to miss shots in the first 3. The ball just didn't bounce in. And then we had a whole different conversation about Shai for 3 straight games. Now that the ball bounces in, people are dancing in the streets yet again. So I think that with the 3-point shooting, that comes with volatility. And that happens for every team. We always talk about 3-point volatility whenever we're trying to outcast a team for they're not that good. They just happen to have all these 3s go in. It also happens the other way, where a really good team just happens to have a night where they cannot make a 3. And then what do you do with the other facets of this game? And what the Thunder did was they dominated the other facets of this game. They won the offensive rebounding battle despite losing the overall rebounding battle by a ton, but they forced 21 turnovers, which led to incredibly easy fast break opportunities and some fast break buckets. The fast break numbers were 20-7 in this game against the Memphis Grizzlies. The Thunder got what they wanted, and they imposed their will on the Memphis Grizzlies inside against the daunting Zach Edey, Defensive Player of the Year level player Jaren Jackson Jr. OKC scored 54 points in the paint and were wildly efficient inside the arc. The Thunder also won second chance points, despite how lopsided the rebounding was, 51-33. The Thunder have a 4-point advantage on second chance points. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the Thunder's defense was just phenomenal. And if you watch this game, as they hold Memphis to 46% shooting from the floor, 38% shooting from three, and 96% shooting from the free throw line. But OKC had to go on the road and win a closeout game, and they did everything that they could to secure the win, except shoot the three ball better. I think it's easy to just say, well, if they would have shot the three better, this probably wouldn't have even been a competitive contest. And I would tend to agree with that. But the great teams, what separates the good and the great teams is the ability to not have something but still overcome that obstacle. And you just have to continue to trust the body of work. And it's not to say that they can't have a bad three-point shooting series or that they can't have a bad three-point shooting game. Anyone on planet Earth can, for the most part. Like, very few teams are designed to never go in a three-point shooting slump. You remember those Houston Rockets, the 27 missed threes. Like, it can happen to anyone at any given moment, but how you become great is what you do when that adversity strikes. And we've seen this Thunder team throughout this season and throughout this playoff. When adversity hit, they were able to punch it right back, and they did it again in Game 4, and that's why we're sitting here talking about a sweep. That's why we're sitting here discussing the Thunder moving on to the second round and having a just week off, right? Another segment of rest here for this Thunder team. I thought that the second half, they were really good. You look at the 14-7 fourth quarter run. You look to the fact that over the first 3 minutes of the third quarter, they forced 4 turnovers and only allowed Memphis to make 1 shot in that stretch. The defense really dialed in to start the third quarter, and the Thunder were able to get a big win in this contest. So I thought that overall, you should be very pleased with their ability to take care of business. TCB in Memphis. Coming up, though, let's talk SGA, because he was phenomenal in this contest, but it was mainly just him being what he's been for the first 3 games. But first, I want to say right now, but our good friends over at Monarch Money, folks, from your standpoint, have you ever been in a situation where you open up your apps and you see your bank account and you wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. Check it out today, because it's great to have an all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling through multiple apps, you can use Monarch Money to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan your long-term goals. Take control of your finances at Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for 50% off your first year at Monarch Money. We're back on the Lockdown Thunder podcast on the Lockdown Podcast Network, your teams every day. SGA had 16 points in the first quarter, 7 for 7 shooting. He got downhill relentlessly, and the ball bounced his way. I don't know who else you need to hear it from. I've been telling you this for a week now, that he's gotten to the spots, he's gotten the looks he wants. But after this game, Shai and Chet echoed those sentiments about how Shai has been really good this season, and the process has been there. It's just that the gaudy efficiency results have not. He's gotten results in other aspects of this series. It's been the kind of victim of his own success, in the sense of it hasn't been the loud 50% shooting and 54% shooting that you're accustomed to seeing with SGA, and it leads you to question things when it doesn't go that way, when it's not what you expect. But for Shai, it was just as simple as the ball needing to go in the hoop. Like this Thunder team, for example, is a better three-point shooting team than 20% from three. The ball just didn't go in, even though they generated some really good looks in this game. Same thing with what Shai dealt with the first 3 games. But overall in this game, he showed you how special he is. His ability to finish through contact to control his body and contort through defenders at the rim. And I think that the most special play of the night was him splitting Zach Edey and Jaren Jackson Jr. to get to the rim for an and one. He provided some steady shot making for the Thunder in the fourth quarter, that sidestep three in the fourth quarter, and then he missed a kill shot three. And everyone is going to tweet out when that happens, like all this disgruntlement about that shot selection. But what was the actual dagger? What was the actual shot that people were calling the dagger at the time to put the Thunder up 11? It was a step back mid-range three. A step back mid-range three with his foot practically on the tape of the three-point line. So the distance there is negligible. Like that was a shot, the three that he missed was a wide open shot that if he hits that, people are celebrating, and if he misses it, people are crushed. And I don't think it should be that way. I think that you should grade the shot with the shot's quality, because Shai has evolved himself into such a good player that you trust him to score at all three levels. And again, the mid-range shot, where we're calling him the mid-range king, practically a three-pointer. Like practically it was a three-point distance. It just happened that his heel was a bit too far up. So it's clear he has the range to be able to take that open three. It just so happened that it missed. Luckily for Shai, the next possession he comes down, hits that step back midi, and now he's back to having ice in his veins and back to being this killer mentality because the shot went in. But I think that Shai has been really good all series long, and tonight was the exclamation point of that, kind of the reward for that. It's kind of like putting work in behind the scenes, and then finally something happens to put it in front of people, because this whole series has been vastly underrated for SGA. I wrote about that for Thunder on SI with clips embedded into the article, so you can like literally see what I'm talking about, of just him routinely breaking down the defense, routinely rising up for baseline jumpers and at the nail and at the elbows, shots that he hits 1,000 times this season en route to a league scoring title that didn't drop for him with a bounce of a ball through the first three games. And tonight it was loud. 38 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, a block. He shot 58% from the floor, 1 for 4 from 3, 11 for 13 at the free throw line. And whenever you look at this game too, then another aspect and another play that I thought was special defensively, because we've talked about his best play offensively, his knack for jumping the entry pass to the post can come in handy in round two, no matter who the opponent is, whether it's the Denver Nuggets, especially with Jokic, or even if it's Zubac. Now, of course, Zoo, like on the pick and rolls with Harden, you're not as prone to putting your back and sealing off of a guard facing the other end of the court, to where it's a little bit harder to jump those entry passes. But he's been able to do that. Shai has, in multiple different settings. He's able to do it whenever you try to post him up. He's also able to do it whenever he's playing as the low man and can kind of just rush over, rotating down low and poking it free while you're trying to turn into your shot on the entry pass from a pick and roll. So like that disruption from Shai in the post, that is something that has to continue and has been consistent from him in the second round. And it can really flip games, because you're going to get into tight situations like this. Look how competitive this game was. I mean, if he doesn't jump that entry pass to Jaren Jackson Jr. and it's an easy bucket, it changes the complexity of the entire game. And that's going to become more heightened. It's going to become more appreciated. It's going to become more important as you move on in the course of the playoffs. Alex Caruso, on that same note, was spectacular. This is the time of year why you get Alex Caruso. This is kind of a victory lap, so to say, for everyone who continuously was asking in our mailbag shows about what's wrong with Alex Caruso, or why doesn't he play, or this or that or the third. And I would always just say, look, wait to the playoffs, because I firmly believe, just speculative, that there were some instances where he probably could have played in the regular season, but why bother? Because of how good the team was, and because of, you knew that you wanted to get a very taxing style of player to the postseason healthy, or then, as Alex was saying, you can't play his style of play 82 games. He said that in game 3. You cannot play the style of play that Alex Caruso does for 82 games in a season. You're really just playing for these 16 wins, trying to get a championship, and in this playoff setting, and he's delivered. I mean, the way that he harassed Jaren Jackson Jr. tonight was special. The Thunder's game plan for Jaren Jackson Jr. tonight was special, to always have someone attached to him, and then trying to push him toward the baseline and get him down low to where he's going into a spin move from the baseline. And you have, for example, in this case, Alex Caruso on his back. You have the sideline as an extra defender, and then you have Chet Holmgren looming at the rim as well, to where he is just surrounded. And you could tell how it was wearing on Jaren Jackson Jr. It was wearing on him throughout the game, and really from the start of it, where he never got comfortable. And the Thunder are going to take on teams that have key bigs to their success in very different ways than Jaren Jackson Jr., of course, but key bigger wings and bigs in their kind of formulas. That this was a good first test run of what the Thunder are able to do, especially if they remain disciplined on the back end, to where you can just stick Caruso there and you can let Chet rotate over and trust that on the back end you're going to pick up the open man. So I thought that the block that he had to pin it against the glass, the wraparound pass assist, was one of the crazier plays of this season for Alex Caruso, and what's been a week full of crazy seasons from Alex Caruso, and his just relentless motor. I mean, the chase from behind, poke out steal from Luke Kennard to start the Jalen Williams fast break, and his hustle plays to track down long rebounds. Like that, you did get brutalized in the rebound total of this game, but the ones that you did track down and the ones that you were able to secure, a lot of the times were like these tip outs or these long caroms off the rim that guys like Caruso were getting to first, and were beating Memphis to the spots to get them. And whenever you're going to have a rebounding deficiency, those are how you need to make it up in the margins. And if you do play a team that you're equal with on the glass, then those margins become even more heightened. And the way that he battles for every single free throw is another attribute to him as a hustler, because he completely took Zach Edey out of this game by just simply fighting for the free throw, where he's, the Thunder are shooting the free throws, so he has worse positioning, just because of the way the rules work, but next to Edey. And many guys would just let Zach Edey go get the missed free throw, because, on paper, Caruso's not supposed to get that ball. But Caruso's just hard-headedness and kind of like nose to the grindstone mentality, he went for that rebound. Zach Edey throws him down. Zach Edey's now fouled out. And he was a very important force in the paint in terms of trying to deter some of the Thunder drives. And of course, we talked about points in the paint where the Thunder still got where they wanted. But, I mean, he was like your only hope, though, to try to curb some of that. Like just putting himself in those positions was big for Alex Caruso, who finishes with 6 points, 3 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals on a block. For Caruso, what I think is going to be important moving forward is how elite he is at peel switching, especially with SGA. When him and SGA share the floor together and they're playing up, more so as guards, when Caruso's not having to defend Jaren Jackson Jr., for example, whenever the Thunder want to send two to the ball, or even whenever he is defending Jaren Jackson Jr. and they bring him to the ball, with a screen, whenever they go blitz somebody, Caruso is always going to peel off first and go get the open man furthest away from that double team, leaving Shai to just kind of bounce to the closest man that's open. And it makes Shai's life easier defensively, and it gives the tougher task and the tougher challenge to Caruso, who's having to travel a longer distance. And to Caruso's credit, he's always getting there. And that's what allowed the Thunder to suffocate Memphis this entire series. That's what allowed them to discombobulate the Grizzlies the entire first round of the NBA playoffs. So I thought that he deserves a lot of credit for that as well. Coming up, let's talk about J-Dub. Let's talk about Chet. Let's talk about Alex Caruso's understudy, I guess, Cason Wallace. And we're talking Isaiah Joe, who had some timely threes in a game in which they were hard to come by. We're back on the Lockdown Thunder podcast, on the Lockdown Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you, talking Thunder basketball. Jalen Williams, he has passed the first round series with flying colors, and I get it. There's bigger challenges that lie ahead, but he can only play the team in front of him, and he looks like a completely different player this playoff run than he did last playoff run. He's way more aggressive. He's way more in control of the game, and he's hitting tough shots, and he has a willingness to shoot shots that you just did not see consistently enough last playoffs, even some against New Orleans, but especially against Dallas, where he was way below standard offensively against the Dallas Mavericks, but defensively he was still there against Dallas, and now he's put it all together in year 3, and I think that you forget how much things change, and Mark kind of put it in a way post game of this season is a third of his NBA career so far. So like he's really still in his infancy. So it shouldn't be that surprising to see him continue to elevate and continue to get better. And he's done that. His handle is so much improved in a playoff setting than it was last year. He's using it to create good chances for himself in the mid-range and clean opportunities whenever in the playoffs, as physical as the game gets and as locked in as defenses get. Those clean looks are going to be even more and more and more important to be able to create for yourself as these rounds progress. You saw it against Dallas, where the Thunder just could not create good looks against Dallas at the clip that they did in the regular season. That same thing will happen as the playoffs progress because you're going to face better and better teams. And for Jalen Williams to be able to create that for his own self and not have to rely on any external factors or have to rely on set plays that might get blown up, just relying purely on his ability is a big deal for the Thunder. He hit tough shots tonight with guys draped all over him, and the command of the offense was sensational. I thought that the biggest play for him was the Scottie Pippen flop, where Scottie Pippen sends himself flying 60,000 feet to Nashville whenever Jalen Williams is coming down the floor, and J-Dub just pulls up for a three to put the Thunder up 10 with 5:41 left. He was a steadying bucket for this Thunder team whenever the Grizzlies made it a game, that made the game kind of tight in the fourth quarter with a three response of their own. He steadied the troops down with a bucket at the rim, did J-Dub. And so he talked about his aggressive level and how that's changed from his last playoff run. You can totally see it shining through whenever you watch his game. 23 points, 5 assists, 4 boards, and 47% from the floor, going 2 for 5 from 3. Chet Holmgren is really stacking the kind of sequences of his work in the playoffs. Early this playoffs, all we could talk about was Chet Holmgren's three-point shot ability and his ability to make them, his willingness to take them. We were just talking about a shot nonstop. Tonight, the Grizzlies are selling out hard on Chet Holmgren threes because they just saw what he did in the third quarter of Game 3 and in the second half total of Game 3. And so he used that to be able to pump fake and drive to the mid-range and pull up at a very comfortable spot for him to shoot it in the mid-range and cash it home. He was in control of his offensive game, obviously not to the extent he would like in terms of the offensive production, but it was the defense, man. The rejecting Bane downhill, that was a tone-setting play. That was a energy-giving play. The block that he had in the paint where he's able to block the shot, keep the ball in front of him, get the ball, run the break, and set up Aaron Wiggins for a easy finish. That was a big deal. I think that Chet Holmgren is a massive boost for this team because his plays feel so loud, and you naturally get some wind behind your back as a team when you're seeing him block shots, when you're seeing him lead the break, when you're seeing him finish the break, and whenever you see him do things like what he did against Scottie Pippen Jr., where Scottie Pippen Jr. is driving in. He tries a Nash dribble on the baseline, and Chet Holmgren rips him, just outright picks his pockets clean, and Pippen fouls him out of frustration and fouls out as Holmgren heads to the free throw line to make it a 4-point game. Like his ability, that was a separate play on Pippen. Another play on Scottie Pippen was whenever Scottie Pippen had him around the slot and was driving to the basket, and Chet stays with him step for step. Scottie Pippen Jr. is the fastest player on the court, and Chet Holmgren's able to stay with you step for step. And if you do get that first step on Chet Holmgren, well, guess what? He's long enough and he times blocks shots well enough to where he can recover on the back side of the play and still get the stop. Like, I don't know what you do with Chet Holmgren when he's playing the way he's playing right now, and he's just a complete game changer defensively. And this is a player who, throughout his NBA career to date, the 82 games he played last year and the games he's played this year, you go look at his splits of kind of what he does and what he averages, they creep up with more rest involved, and now the Thunder have another long layoff of rest. And I thought he had a great response to the Zach Edey foul. Like, Zach Edey threw him down by his neck. They reviewed it, common foul, but like he didn't take that and try to turn it into anything but just a basketball play. Like, he didn't take that and try to elbow Zach Edey in the next box out or try to make that a thing. He just kept playing through that. And I think that emotional maturity is what's going to make this team be able to do something completely uncommon. Like, a team this young should not be able to do what this team hopes to do. But plays like that in environments like this, in series like this, whenever you can keep your composure in that setting, that's going to pay off long term for Oklahoma City. It really, really is. Also, Isaiah Hartenstein, just doing the dirty work like Steely Dan, cleaning the glass, setting wipe-away screens. The lobs are always there for Hartenstein because he oftentimes can draw fouls on easy looks for himself because his catch point is so high that you just have to foul him if you're going to try to contest the lob or you're going to let him and concede him the bucket. He's also a safety net for this Thunder team, just especially for the secondary unit guys. When they get driving to the mid-range and driving to the paint, they're able to just swiftly dump it off to him and let him finish it off with a floater. 11 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, 11 points for him, plus 8 for iHeart. Aaron Wiggins. Guys, it is really hard to do what Wiggins does. His job is one of the hardest because he's floating in and out of the rotation. He can't really catch a rhythm, and he's a rhythm role player. But yet, to his credit, after playing seldom minutes in the last few games, he plays 15 minutes tonight, goes for 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 steals. I did like the way that the Thunder tried to implement him in more lineups that had more size around him to help him defensively, because I've always said about Wiggins, he's not a bad defender. The rap that he has as a defender is so misguided because he's doing things that he shouldn't be forced to do. He just can't defend bigger wings and bigger forwards. But when you see him guard a guard, you see what the Thunder see in him as a defender, and they tried to manufacture that by playing him with more size, I think, which helped him out. And then he's one of the best players the Thunder have at play finishing in the sense of transition. He understands where to be when transition starts and how to fill the lanes properly to give the Thunder the most maximized space in transition. And it helps the Thunder whenever at times tonight, even when they were getting those steals, they tossed a few away, and Wiggins was able to steady that. Isaiah Joe. Couple big threes in the second quarter and the timely 3 in the fourth quarter. Those threes were half of Oklahoma City's threes. He went 3 for 6 from beyond the arc. He was still good defensively. But I think that the biggest point of this, 3 for 6 is a good number. But more importantly than even the 3 makes, his willingness to shoot the basketball in tight windows is a 180 from where it was in that Dallas series, a 180. And 3-pointers by and large, are one of the uncontrollables. The only thing you can control about them is shooting quality ones. That's it. Once the ball leaves your hands, the ball is either going to bounce your way or it's not. There's very few things you can do to ensure it goes in. And one way that you get big series is the willingness to shoot. I'm sorry to bring up PJ Washington on a day like this. The only reason PJ Washington has an outlier series because he's willing to shoot the basketball. Isaiah Joe's 6 threes and most of them in tight windows. Very encouraging for Oklahoma City. Cason Wallace did a great job defensively, mostly in this game, and he had 4 points to show for it on the offensive end. But Cason Wallace's ability to basically just wear his opponent's jersey is a great sign for the Thunder long-term in the playoffs. We're getting kicked out of here at the FedEx Forum, so we're going to wrap up this game for a preview on the Locked On Thunder podcast. Until next time, be good and be good to one another.